Well, welcome, Celeste. It is so great to see you. It's been so long.
I know, I feel the same way. So good to see you after so long. Although
Yeah,
I see you on Facebook, but it's not the same.
I know it. Yeah, exactly. And goodness knows there are too many years to talk about, so we're not going to mention that because we're still very
Yes.
young. Oh, but I feel so happy that, you're able to join me today because for so long I've been admiring all the things that you've been doing, and especially obviously with the book coming out, and also with, just the wonderful pics with the family, and, obviously the cooking. I think this is the one thing that also intrigues me. But I'm really grateful that you agreed to have this conversation with me as well.
Of course, of course.
Yeah, well, I think I just want to say again that I think the basis for obviously these conversations with happy chefs, and obviously the series that I'm doing with Cooking with Love, is really to showcase two things mainly, which is just the fabulous impact that cooking and its traditions, and how it is just such a merit to those who, whether it be home chefs or professional chefs, how they use cooking to bring such joy to others, and obviously spreading a healthy message and spreading a message of just love through what they do, and the art of cooking itself. And also too, I really wanted to showcase women, and how really strong women tend to use cooking as also like an avenue to just engage with others really, and and help bring others together. So this is one of the,
Yeah.
well, two of the reasons why I invited you.
Well, hats off to you for thinking of this initiative and putting all those ideas in one place.
Yeah, I think it's good for us to, like, just have opportunities where we can use platforms like these in really
Mhm.
positive ways. So my first question to you today would be, what what has really inspired you, I think, in the beginning of your cooking journey, to get into cooking and follow some of the traditions we have. We're obviously both from the Caribbean.
Yes.
So if you can tell me a little bit about that.
Um, First, let me say your mom's fry aloo is the best fry aloo I've ever eaten in my life.
Mm, are you kidding? Oh, and I complain about that so much.
I remember that from like teenage years.
Okay.
Um, but I like food. I mean, who doesn't? But I like food. And I guess if you like food, you have to learn how to cook it. But really, I would say my cooking journey began the way maybe most of us, our age group, it began. We didn't have many fast food options growing up. We probably, even if whatever we had was more like a special treat rather than something you could afford all the time. And I grew up, I mean, my earliest memory of cooking or trying to cook would be my grandmother making roti. And she would tear off a little bit of the flour and give me, and I would roll it out with like using a curler, a roller.
I forgot those days. Like,
Yes.
oh, so true.
Yeah, and pretend I was making roti, or like for lunchtime if she was making, because you know how it was, roti and something for breakfast, dal and rice and something for lunch, roti and something for dinner, right? So also like lunchtime she would be making dal and rice and something, and she would give me a cup of split peas, a little bit of split peas, and a little bit of rice to pretend I was cooking for my family. And I just think that growing up when we did my home was a small home, and it was hard not to see your mother cooking. It was hard not to be underfoot kind of thing in the kitchen, seeing what they were doing. And that is really how I don't think my mother ever formally said, "Come, let me show you how to make this," or "Come, let me show you how to make that." I have no memory of her doing that, but I do remember being around, being in the kitchen, being buzzing around and seeing what she did. and just kind of absorbing that. So, and then I got older, and my brother and I got older. We really liked to eat. And when my parents would go to sleep at night, they'd be complaining because you'd hear the microwave going off, ping, 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 all, all hours of the night, because we would be cooking for ourselves, you know.
Yes, well,
Um,
you know your brother. You know he likes his
yeah,
food.
he loves his belly. So, but serious cooking, like seriously, like not until I went off to Barbados to university, then I had to figure out how to seriously to cook a meal, like a proper meal, and it wasn't easy. It was not easy at first, but I think that threw me in the deep end, and I just had to kind of go back in my mind and remember what would I see mommy do? You know, what would I see my grandmother do? What and try trial and error until I think that was the time, those 2 years in Barbados, where I really began to like cooking my own food. At first, when I would cook, I couldn't eat it because, you know, I cooked it and I had been, you know, I don't know what it is. Like I just could not eat my own food willingly at first.
I know, I completely get that. Yeah.
But
Just
go
to
ahead.
cut you there quickly, because I just remember that I know you did talk to me also about all these traditional things and the fact that we also we would be able to go out into our gardens and actually pick the stuff to cook, and
That's true. That's true. My father, where we lived for a long time, there was the house to the front, and then there was nothing behind but like empty. I think it was like just empty land. I don't know who it belonged, the state or whatever. And so my father would go out to the back beyond the fence, and he would plant different things depending on what season it was. So he would plant peas, he would plant okra, he would plant corn, he would plant sorrel, he would plant seasonings, you know, peppers. And so mommy would say, go outside and pick some seasoning, go outside and pick some peppers, go outside and pick. And we would go out and pick whatever it was. And that is what we would cook. And I really feel like being so close to your food, seeing how something grows, you know,
there is
sitting down.
yeah, there is that connection. I mean, now because I'm in Germany and there's so many people who are, you see that's making such a huge comeback that people are getting back into, having little small. I mean, I actually saw that in London as well, where people would have the little buckets of tomatoes and stuff in their
Right.
little apartments, and just wanting that more organic, natural,
Mhm.
back to basics kind of
Yeah.
experience with food to get that flavor, and
Mhm.
also with recycling and not against with the supermarkets and not having all this packaging. You can actually grow your stuff at home, and
Right.
it's all even saving money wise. It's also a great concept that we should continue to maintain that tradition.
Yeah, it's funny how things have gone full circle because he planted those things in part because he likes to plant and also because to save money, you know, because
Yeah.
it's not that we were wealthy or anything. So, um, and then, you know, there we went through a period in Trinidad at least where people just kind of stopped, kind of moved away from the land or viewing planting and agriculture as something they wanted their children to do. Everybody just wanted like these professional desk jobs. And
Yeah.
now I'm seeing people kind of coming back to the idea that we need more farmers. We need people to study agriculture. We need people to get into it, you know?
I mean, I found like even I was really happy when I was in Trinidad, just going to because where we are in Curup and Tunapuna right there, that big Tunapuna market, it was even really nice just to have the opportunity to go to a market like that and then also see a lot of women there.
Yeah.
I think there were like 75% women actually,
Right.
bringing their own produce in. And so I thought that was such a great thing to see women really at the forefront, where before it was so many male farmers. And, so it's kind of like, for me, I thought that was really something interesting to see, because I've been interested in it for a long time as well, trying to plant my own stuff when I was in London. Um, it is something it's something also I think that brings people together, because then when you have a group of
Mhm.
people discussing this, everyone plants their own stuff and it's almost cool,
Right.
because
Yes.
they grow stuff and they have too much, so they bring something for you, you buy it,
Yes.
and
Yes.
something else. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
a great tradition to maintain. And I noticed, like when you said about being thrown in the deep end when you went off to university, that because now when I look at so much of what you post on all the pictures of the food and just all the wonderful different things that you make. I can see the happiness of, it's just the way you describe it, and how everything looks. It just looks so amazing. And I've also noticed that you're also using this the keto style as well. And how have you found that? Um,
Okay. Well, I I did not know much about keto. I mean, I had heard the word for some time. Didn't really know much about it. Um, what prompted me to explore it a bit more was, of course, when the first lockdown happened here in Trinidad in March of last year. Like everybody else in Trinidad, I went on an eating spree because I had nothing else to do but cook and eat. So, and it was good in a way because everybody was suddenly baking their own bread. Everybody was trying to make doubles. Everybody was experimenting, right? But that was good. But then we had to eat what we cooked, right? So, um, I had I put on a lot of weight, and okay, we came out of lockdown. I was able to some extent, resume my exercise routine and stuff. But then the second lockdown was announced in August.
mm,
And when that happened, the very day it happened, I was like, no, I am not going to go through this again. I'm not going to do it. I have to do something differently. And if I'm going to be cooking, because everything is closed, at least let me try to learn to cook differently or a more healthy, I was never an unhealthy cook or chef, but to cook in a different way that will help me lose weight. And so I started to research different methods. And what I was looking for is not so much a diet as much as,
I like
let's say, a lifestyle change. Something because I felt, I mean, I've done the dieting thing in the past, and I know that you cannot stick with a diet that doesn't suit your lifestyle and it's not something that can have longevity in your life, you know? So I was looking for a lifestyle change and I was reading up on keto and it didn't seem like something I could do. It sounded very strict, um, lots of calculations and stuff like that. And then I found this book called Dirty, Lazy Keto, which sounds exactly like me.
Oh God.
So,
To be glossy keto.
so yeah, that kind of simplified things because instead of doing a whole lot of calculations, you're really just reading labels and trying to keep your carb intake down. And so at first, I took the first month to just kind of figure out how to cook in this style and what groceries, what do I need to buy, what do I need to stock in my pantry, how. So I would say the first month or two was kind of just figuring it out. And I wouldn't say I've ever been fully strictly keto, but I have learned alternative ways of making things that I like, making cake, making
But
cheesecake,
this is
you
what's
know?
interesting in the recipes that you put up, is that it looked, I mean, especially the Trinidadian recipes, which we all know, there's always this inclination to use so much like coconut milk and all these rich ingredients, sugar, so much sugar. And I found it amazing because your stuff looks so like, like you did put a lot of fat and sweet stuff in it, but I was
Yeah.
so surprised, and I actually saw when you lost the weight as well. I was like, God, okay, you look amazing and the food looks amazing, and but I mean, you obviously enjoy it. You do enjoy
Yeah.
eating it, yeah.
Mhm.
But that's good.
Well, the thing is, I didn't plan on enjoying it. So, but
Surprise.
surprise. But what happened was you do go through something called the keto flu, right?
Mm,
Where your body is adjusting to burning sugar. And remember, sugar is a drug. So
yeah.
you're addicted all your life to sugar, and then suddenly it's not getting any, and it has to learn to burn fat. So in that period, you do feel kind of down, and you almost like you feel sick. But once I came through that period, I realized within a week or two, I had so much more energy. I could exercise more because I had energy. And my focus, my ability to mentally focus was improved. And I was like, why haven't I done this before?
I think I need
You
to
know?
talk to my mother because it's just women still, I think, and with most, I think Trinidadians especially, I mean, when I trained as a nurse, the main two issues were always diabetes and hypertension.
Yes.
And nowadays, people are starting to realize how having a lot less sugar can be manageable. And it's because, like you said, it's almost like a drug. Well, it is a drug. I think it is a drug. So
Mhm.
it's nice to see that with you, there is this nice follow through because it is a lifestyle change. It's also the meals are delicious and you can actually see the results.
Yes.
If you're being patient with it, you can see the results. So good for you on that one. I'm going to be taking a page out of that book.
No, and contrary to popular belief, I mean, you think you're going to spend the entire time just craving sweet. Oh my gosh, how am I going to live? But over time, you lose the taste for sweets.
Yeah.
So it's not that I'm walking around pacing the house wondering how can I live? I need some sweet. It's not like that. You kind of just lose the taste for it. So it gets easier, and I'm about to move into the other phase where it's more maintaining, because I'm maintaining the weight rather than trying to drop any more weight. But I don't feel the need to revert to eating the way I was before. If I could survive on 50 grams of sugar a day, when I think about what I was eating before, I was probably eating like 1,000 grams of sugar a day compared to what I'm eating now. When you really add it up.
Yeah.
So
But it's
yeah.
good, I think, again, I go back to the fact that, with you and your love for cooking, that you are able to, at this stage in your life as well, you've got a really active life, you've got a young daughter, and also I think with your writing as well, sometimes it can be so easy to slump into certain routines now that we have Corona as well. Again, it's another, it changes people's active routines a lot.
Yeah.
But how do you think this whole love of cooking and everything has impacted also on your writing?
Hmm. For me, like I said, being thrown in the deep end when I was in Barbados studying, I discovered there that cooking could be very mentally soothing and therapeutic. If nobody is hounding down your back saying, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, if you could just relax and take your time and cook yourself something, it's almost like meditation. You're doing repetitive tasks over and over again, cutting up, and you're alone with your thoughts. And it's like you're focusing on one thing in the present moment, which is what meditation is, right? So for me, I would say sometimes leaving my desk and going to the kitchen and cooking, whether it be for my family or for myself or whatever, and just having the time and space to do that. It's almost like it is meditative. It's relaxing. It is not relaxing when everybody's hungry and looking at me for something to eat, but I try to avoid that. And I would say another way that my love of cooking, even before keto, has impacted on my writing is that I did not realize. I did not realize it had impacted on my writing until I was in Boston doing my master's in creative writing one day. And I overheard one of my tutors saying to another tutor, she just wrote an entire story about food. And I was like, my story is not about food. My story is about other things. And then I thought about it and I was like, yes, it is about food. Because how could it not be about food? Trinidadians love to eat. That is how we get together. That is how we signify that we're happy. That's, it's part of who we are. And so I began to pay attention and in my book that's coming out in May, I kind of noticed afterwards, not at the time, that every single story, food plays a part.
It really sets a scene. It sets the scene almost. I think in a lot of our Caribbean lives, food is always in the background. Like it's like the tapestry in the background. So
yeah, and it's such food is like it's part of your identity. So in a lot of the characters in my book, they come to understand that their identity is changing through the foods that they're enjoying or experiencing. So, like, I will just give you an example. In one story, a Venezuelan immigrant comes here and she's living with an Indian family, East Indian descent. And at first, she's so completely lost because what they cook is so different from what she is accustomed eating in Venezuela. But over time, she learns how to cook their kind of food. And there's another story where this guy goes to New York to live and work illegally. And the first time he goes to a place called the Ponderosa, which is an all-you-can-eat buffet, he goes wild because it's like, this doesn't exist in Trinidad. What do you mean $4.99 and I can eat all I want? So food is a way for people to, in my stories at least, sort of consider how their situation is changing, how their identity is changing, how they are changing.
Well, I think now too we do need like stories that are going to be really reflective of our culture, and it's nice to see a Caribbean writer again bringing out a lot of these like factual in a fictional way things about
factual fiction.
Yeah, because that's it. That's the description now. No, but I mean, for me, I think it's good because we usually have a very Eurocentric kind of description or historical account of a lot of Caribbean ways of life and cultural things, and also what I think the media sees of the Caribbean. I mean, just to interject here with this last week, there's been so much online, so many people across here I know that are Trinidadians that have been putting up stuff about all the dreadful violence towards women at home. And, it really had me down for a few days because I think as women, again, we've been trying so hard to get out of that kitchen in a way, and just get into different careers, but not lose ourselves because there's nothing wrong with being in the kitchen, and there's nothing wrong with being that kind of nurturing type and also sharing our love through food. But how do you feel about everything? Because I know you're there. How do you feel about the atmosphere right now with what's happening with women and you as a woman and a professional and everything?
Again, that topic, the fate of women or treatment of women in Trinidad and Tobago is one that features a lot in my writing because it's something that troubles me. I think you're right. Being in the kitchen, there's nothing wrong with being in the kitchen, but it has to be a choice. It can't be that because somebody has drawn a box around you and said that is your place and you dare not step out of it. So being in the kitchen, nothing wrong with it. Being a housewife, nothing wrong with it. You know, being a woman who wants to love and nurture and take care of her family, herself, you know, in a hands-on way, nothing wrong with that. But that must be our decision. It can't be somebody else's decision, you know. The thing is, I, like most women, I think, in Trinidad over the past week, very much affected by the violence against women that keeps recurring. And it seems like every time it happens, the entire country is up in arms. We get powerful men on our side for about 5 minutes, and then everybody forgets and then things go back to normal.
So true.
And for me, as a student of history, my favorite subject in high school was history.
So
yeah. And so I always feel these things and see these things from a historical perspective, because one of the things that we learned in high school, and I actually, do you remember we used to do something called SBAs? Like you had to do like this whole project and submit it.
yeah.
So one of my SBAs was actually on this, the plight of women in Trinidad, and starting with the plight of East Indian immigrant women. And it kind of is cultural. It started there where it's cultural, where you would kill a woman and then you would drink Gramazone or something and kill yourself. And there was a name for it in the history book. And that has never stopped. It has never stopped. So, you know, while you could look back there and you could say, well, those were poor agricultural workers from India, and they were just, so if that's the reason why they behaved like that, then what is the reason why people are behaving like that now? So many years later, why is it still the same? Why are men in Trinidad still so insecure? Why?
I mean, obviously, this week also, and I think because I knew I was having I was going to have this conversation with you. It really brought back a lot of things for me. Thinking about my own mom, and you know, she's just really next to me. She's like a really tiny little Indian lady, and you know, obviously, growing up in her culture and everything. I mean, she's had to endure all the physical violence she's been exposed to in her life, and also me growing up as well, the kind of like violence I've been exposed to as a child, as a female child. I remember like when I got to a certain age, she told me one important thing which I think has really held with me and my sister as well. She says you must never take the minute you accept that first slap, or that first act of violence, I should say, that's when you're going to really pay for that for the rest of, your existence until you say no. And that always stuck with me. And I think, just using that throughout my own life. And it doesn't have to be like an actual physical, violent act. For me, it's been, when people have stepped out of line with me and I felt uncomfortable, I was able to stand up for myself. And, I heard some stories this week about, the girl who was, the person who was actually attacked and killed and everything, she was a lovely little petite thing. And, and I think, again, whatever size we are, I think it's about really developing a strong sense of self. Saying that, I am a woman, I deserve to be treated well, and all these cultural kind of things that has kept us in a way submissive, from the past, like you mentioned, with our cultural background. It's something we really need to push through and keep focusing on.
I don't know if you recall the last time. I shouldn't say the last time. Can't remember if it was the last time, but it might have been the last murder. It might have been the one before that or the one before that. But sometime during the last year, I remember in response to one of these murders of women, I remember posting online and saying, our culture raises strong women and fragile men. And to me, that is what it is. We sort of grow up knowing that our lot in life is going to be difficult and probably marked with violence. And it makes us strong. Trinidadian women are very strong. You are a strong woman. I am a strong woman. But we also let men off the hook. We let them off the hook. We let our sons, our brothers, we let them off the hook because it's almost as if it becomes like a virtue. You have to be, you're a woman, you have to be strong, and you have to know how to take it and whatever. Meanwhile, men, nobody holds them to the same standard, you know, and we make excuses for them. And for me, as a woman who has a daughter, I'll be honest with you. I wanted a son.
Oh God,
No, seriously.
Let's Sarai hear that one.
No, I wanted a son, but for the only one reason, because I felt that I had managed to survive that whole culture and come out of it okay, unscathed. But I feel like I survived by the skin of my teeth. And I felt that having a daughter, I did not want to watch my child go through that cycle. I did not want to ever be in a position of having to watch my child be hit or battered or abused in any way, and I can't do anything. So it was like, phew, I have survived. My life is okay. But that anxiety and looking over my shoulder, I don't imagine going through that for your child. It's 100 times worse.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So so when I learned that I was having a girl, for a while I was like, I don't know, boy, I don't know, I don't want to go through this, and but of course, I've settled into my role as a mother of a daughter.
Well, Celeste, I can tell you, and of course, I have a lot of psychiatric background, so I can tell you this too. I think being the strong woman that you are, and also being so aware of these issues. I mean, even with the stuff that I see with your daughter as well that you post up, I can see the strength in this child already, and I say this to other mothers and even mothers of sons as well. I'm always encouraging them to just kids have to know. I think this is where we as the parents and the adults, we have to spread this message to our sons. I mean, my mom did that with my two brothers, and they turned out to be amazing men. So it's possible, and amazing Caribbean men. So
which is rare.
yeah, which is rare. So I think this is something that's so great. And like I said with you, with the cooking, and now that everything is translating into your stories and your book coming out it's May, right? When is it?
Yeah, it's in May. It should be out on the official publication date is the 4th of May, 2021. And yeah, it's an exciting time.
And that's going to be like your next, I mean, you've launched the book already, and then it's going to be available from the 4th. Is there any new projects that are coming up after this, or?
Well, I'm trying to give this book my full attention for the next couple months, kind of getting it out into the world. In the same way that, you give a little baby the first 2 months, you just kind of give it.
Yeah.
But I'm always writing. And I always have multiple projects going on. And being a mom has meant that I have to read a lot of children's books. And so one of my projects is working on a children's book.
Nice.
Yeah.
Again, we need more Caribbean, from that female perspective as a mom. That's another, for me, I think that's also a great thing. And like I said, I just feel so grateful to have been able to have this conversation with you because, it's no one really understands how difficult it is for us to come from where we've come from and to really put ourselves out on an international stage and, just be exposed because people have so many different ideas of who we should be and just so many crazy things that I've had to absorb over the years. Most people not knowing where the hell I'm from, but it's just you've also got to be the best version of you that you can possibly be.
Yes, yes.
So without losing yourself, and that in itself is a difficult thing. But again,
I think you hit the nail on the head. I think there is internationally, probably because the only versions of the Caribbean that you see on in Hollywood and very narrow. All about beach and having fun and drinking whatever. So people's perception of what a Caribbean woman should be is also very narrow. You're probably not expected to be fully clothed. You should be wearing a bikini and a grass skirt.
yes, of course.
And you should be, you should,
Swimming on, swinging on the vine.
yeah, and you're not necessarily supposed to have a head and a brain on your shoulders or whatever, but I'm glad that we are breaking those stereotypes. And next time I put on my grass skirt, I will celebrate with a drink.
Yes, I think so. My dear, thank you so much again for joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I've been, like I said, I've been just dying to hear your perspective on things as well. So thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Yes, it was a great conversation. I hope we could do this again. And I hope you have your copy of Pleasant View already. That's the name of the book.
Ordered. It's already ordered. Definitely. I'm going to put the information up as well on my site. So
Okay.
you can again see where they can, because I think it's IG Publishing and Amazon as well.
Well, it's available on all the Amazon bookshop, Barnes and Noble. But the publisher is Hake Publishing in New York. Yeah, so you got yours, so you should be able to guide people how to get theirs.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much again.
Thanks, Carrie.
Okay, take care.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.